In this video, we'll be looking at solving inequalities using multiplication and division. So, our essential question today will be, how does multiplication and division affect the inequality? How does multiplication and division affect the inequality? Well, right here, what I already have typed up for you is the big part of this and how it affects the inequality, how multiplication and division affects inequality. So when you multiply or divide both sides, now this part I can't stress enough, and we'll look at the difference. When you multiply or divide both sides of an inequality by a negative number, you must flip the direction of the inequality. Now look how important this is. There's 7 exclamation points, so let's make sure we keep track of this. Okay, so but before we begin, what I want to do is make one quick little change to our notes. So number 4, let's change this to a plus sign. Number 4, make it x over 8 plus 4 is less than 1. Okay, so let's look at these. We're just, for number 1, if we have 2 times h is greater than 32, the most efficient way to solve this would be to just divide both sides by 2. We'll draw our line down. I'll divide by 2. Remember, I bring this inequality symbol, keep it the same, coming straight down. I'm dividing both sides by a positive, positive 2, positive 2, so I am not flipping the sign. And we have h is greater than 16. So we can create our number line any way we want. For this one, I'm just going to put 16 in the middle, and then 17, and then 15 comes before 16, like so. Since we have no line underneath, we'll use a open circle, and then we will shade the area that represents the numbers that are greater than 16. H is all the numbers that are greater than 16. Okay, pretty straightforward. Let's look at number 2. Now, when I set this up, I'm going to divide, but what am I dividing both sides by? Both sides will be divided by a negative 3. So here's that instance where I'm dividing both sides by a negative. Not just one side, and I'm dividing both sides by that negative 3. So I have my y. When I divide both sides by a negative, my sign will flip. And then we'll do this division. 48 divided by negative 3 is negative 16. Right? Yeah. And then we'll create our number line. For this number line, I will use 0 in the middle and then make my mark 16 and negative 16. Remember, you can just create your number line. This is your number line as long as it incorporates the number that we're interested in, and you can kind of show what you know about graphing on the number line. So we want a closed dot because of the line, because of the equal to part, the line underneath our less than symbol, and then since we are less than negative 16, we want to be shading this way to the left. Okay, number 3. Now, when we see this, we can read it as x divided by 6 is greater than 17. So a quick way to solve this would be multiply both sides by 6. Draw our line down. Now I'm multiplying both sides by a positive 6. Both sides are being multiplied by a positive 6. So what we're going to do is we'll have x by itself. Those 6's cancel. We have x, and since I'm multiplying both sides by a positive, my sign stays the same. X is greater than. And when I multiply 6 times 17, I get 102. Now I have x is greater than 102. So for this one, let's go ahead and just put 102 in the middle. 101 on that side, 103 on this side. At 102, will it be open or close? It is open, and then we will shade to the right, because we want to represent all the numbers that are greater than 102. Okay, so now on number 4, we'll see why in a second why I wanted to turn this into a plus sign. So let's go ahead and draw our line down the middle. This is going to be 2 steps. I'll use my additive inverse to get rid of the 4 first, and then we'll use the multiplicative inverse, multiplying both sides by 8 to get rid of that 8 second. So first I want to subtract 4 from both sides. I'm just adding or subtracting, so there's no worry about sign changing. Remember, sign change is only multiplication or division. So when it's addition or subtraction, we're not going to change the sign, so my sign stays the same. Bring down that x divided by 8, and 1 minus 4 is negative 3. Okay, so this is the reason why I changed this to a plus sign. I wanted to show you what happens when there's a negative on this side, but we're multiplying both sides by a positive. So that's why I stress this both sides idea. Even though there's a negative right here, we're multiplying both sides by a positive. So my sign will stay the same, because it's that both sides. It's when I multiply both sides by a positive or by a negative that I flip the sign. So even though there's a negative right here, I'm still multiplying both sides by a positive, so my sign stays the same. And it looks something like that. So we can put, I'm going to go with the 0, negative 24, 24 route. And then it's no line underneath, so we'll use our open circle. And then we want to represent all the numbers that are less than negative 24. So we will shade to the left. Okay, so right now what I'd like you to do is pause right here. Try 5 and 6 on your own. Remember, to help you get through 6, it's beneficial to think of that hidden negative, that hidden 1 right there. So it's really 8 minus 1h is greater than 9. So remember, when you're dividing out this, that negative should still be, when you remove that 8 over here, you'll still have that negative 1 attached to the h. So remember that piece, please. But yeah, pause right here and try those. Okay, so hopefully you took the chance to try these. I'm going to kind of go through these kind of quickly. On number 5, we'll draw our line down. I have 5y plus 7, so additive inverse first. We have 5y is less than or equal to 22 minus 7 is 15. Divide both sides by a positive 5, so no, we will not flip the sign. Sign stays the same. And we have y is less than or equal to 3. We'll go 2, 3, 4, close dot. All the numbers less than, close dot for the equal part, and all the numbers less than 3. So we'll represent that by shading to the left. Okay, on number 8, Let's hopefully that hidden 1 helped us out. Let's bring our line down. We will subtract 8 first from both sides. It's just subtraction, so there's no sign flippage. We don't even think about sign flippage when it's addition or subtraction. When the 8's cancel, I'm still left with that negative attached to the 1. So it's still a negative 1h is greater than 9 minus 8 is 1. Now to get rid of that negative 1 being multiplied by to h, I will have to divide both sides by a negative 1. Since we're dividing both sides by a negative, this is time to flip the sign. Like that. And now we have h, 1 divided by negative 1 is negative 1. And so we will go negative 1, 0, 1. And I'm going to do an open dot because there's no equal to, no line underneath. And then we're representing all the numbers less than negative 1. So all the numbers that are less than negative 1 are in this direction. And that's how we can, and that's the main part about how multiplication and division affects the inequality. That whole multiplying or dividing both sides by a negative will flip the direction of our inequality sign. So thank you for watching this video, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening.